Tess of the D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy. On an evening in the latter part of May, a middle-aged man was walking homeward from Shaston to the village of Marlott in the adjoining Vale of Blackmoor. The pair of legs that carried him were rickety, and there was a bias in his gait which inclined him somewhat to the left of a straight line. The nap of his hat was ruffled, a patch being quite worn away at its brim where his thumb came in taking it off. Presently he was met by an elderly parson astride on a grey mare, who, as he rode, hummed a wandering tune. "Good night, Tate," said the man. "Good night, Sir John," said the parson. The pedestrian, after another pace or two, halted and turned round. "Now, sir, begging your pardon, we met last market day on this road about this time, and I said good night, and you made reply, 'Good night, Sir John,' as now." "I did," said the parson. "And once before that, near a month ago." "I may have." "Then what might your meaning be in calling me Sir John these different times when I be plain Jack Durbeyfield?" The parson rode a step or two nearer. "It was only my whim," he said, and after a moment's hesitation, "It was on account of a discovery I made some little time ago whilst I was hunting up pedigrees for the new county history. I am Parson Tringham, the antiquary of Stagfoot Lane. Don't you really know, Durbeyfield, that you are the lineal representative of the ancient and knightly family of the D'Urbervilles, who derive their descent from Sir Pagan d'Urberville, that renowned knight who came from Normandy with William the Conqueror?" "You don't say so. In short," concluded the parson, "there's hardly such another family in England." "Daze my eyes, and isn't there?" said Durbeyfield. "And here I have been knocking about year after year from pillar to post, as if I were no more than the commonest feller in the parish. And how long have this news about me been knowed, Parson Tringham?" The clergyman explained that, as far as he was aware, it had quite died out of knowledge. "At first I resolved not to disturb you with such a useless piece of information," said he. "However, our impulses are too strong for our judgment sometimes. I thought you might perhaps know something of it all the while." "Well, I have heard once or twice, 'tis true, that my family had seen better days afore they come to Blackmoor, but I took no notice of it, thinking it to mean that we had once kept 2 horses where we now keep only 1. I've got a old silver spoon and a old graven seal at home too, but Lord, what's a spoon and a seal? And to think that I and these noble D'Urbervilles were one flesh all the time. But where do we raise our smoke now, parson, if I may make so bold? I mean, where do we D'Urbervilles live?" "You don't live anywhere. You are extinct as a county family." "Oh, that's bad. Then where do we lie?" "At Kingsbere sub Greenhill, rows and rows of you in your vaults, with your effigies under Purbeck marble canopies." "Where be our family mansions and estates?" "You haven't any." "Oh, no lands neither?" "None, though you once had 'em in abundance." "Shall we ever come into our own again?" "Ah, that I can't tell." "And what had I better do about it, sir?" asked Durbeyfield after a pause. "Oh, nothing, except chasten yourself with the thought of how are the mighty fallen. Good night." "But you'll turn back and have a quart of beer with me on the strength of it, Parson Tringham? It's a very pretty brew in tap at the Pure Drop, though to be sure not so good as at Rolliver's." No, thank you, not this evening, Durbeyfield. You've had enough already." The village of Marlott lay amid the north-eastern undulations of the beautiful Vale of Blackmoor aforesaid, an engirdled and secluded region, for the most part untrodden as yet by tourist or landscape painter, though within a 4 hours' journey from London. The Vale was known in former times as the Forest of White Hart. The forests have departed, but some old customs of their shades remain. The May Day dance, for instance, was to be discerned on the afternoon under notice in the guise of the club revel, or club walking, as it was there called. a custom of walking in procession and dancing on each anniversary, the members being solely women. They were all dressed in white gowns, and every woman and girl carried in her right hand a peeled willow wand, and in her left a bunch of white flowers. They came round by the Pure Drop Inn, and were turning out of the high road to pass through a wicket gate into the meadows, when one of the women said,
The Lord! Why, Tess Durbeyfield, if there isn't thy father riding home in a carriage.
A young member of the band turned her head at the exclamation. She was a fine and handsome girl, not handsomer than some others, possibly, but her mobile, peony mouth and large, innocent eyes added eloquence to colour and shape. She wore a red ribbon in her hair, and was the only one of the white company who could boast of such a pronounced adornment. As she looked round, Durbeyfield was seen moving along the road in a chaise belonging to the Pure Drop, driven by a frizzle-headed, brawny damsel with her gown sleeves rolled above her elbows. This was the cheerful servant of that establishment, who, in her part of factotum, turned groom and ostler at times. Durbeyfield, leaning back and with his eyes closed luxuriously, was waving his hand above his head and singing in a slow recitative, I've got a great family vault at Kingswear, and knighted forefathers in lead coffins there. The clubbists tittered, except the girl called Tess, in whom a slow heat seemed to rise at the sense that her father was making himself foolish in their eyes.
He's tired, that's all,
she said hastily.
And he has got to lift home because our own horse has got to rest today. Bless thy simplicity, Tess,
said her companions.
He's got his fill. Look here, I won't walk another inch with you if you say any jokes about him,
Tess cried. Perceiving that they had really pained her, they said no more, and order again prevailed. Tess's pride would not allow her to turn her head again, to learn what her father's meaning was, if he had any, and thus she moved on with the whole body to the enclosure, where there was to be dancing on the green. Nothing further was seen or heard of Durbeyfield in his triumphal chariot, under the conduct of the ostleress, and the club having entered the allotted space, dancing began. As there were no men in the company, the girls danced at first with each other, but when the hour for the close of labour drew on, the masculine inhabitants of the village, together with other idlers and pedestrians, gathered round the spot and appeared inclined to negotiate for a partner. Among these onlookers were 3 young men of a superior class carrying small knapsacks. Their general likeness to each other, and their consecutive ages, would almost have suggested that they might be, what in fact they were, brothers. "What are you going to do, Angel?" asked the eldest. "I'm inclined to go and have a fling with them. I'll overtake you in 5 minutes." The 2 elder reluctantly left him and walked on, taking their brother's